right. Well, hey, thanks everybody for being here at the ATX Agent Hangout. Thank you, Joe Campert, Redwood, for putting this on every month. It's very cool, good networking and learning environment. You know, I used to do a lot of networking events, and it's really, just exchanging business cards and saying, hey, call me sometime, and maybe you go have a one-on-one with coffee or something, and there's not a whole lot of substance that goes on. And these are really good because you add the training component to it, and that's much appreciated. So it's worth the 3 hours in traffic that I'll take to come up here to Austin to do that. So thanks again. So my name is Ron Ray, and I am an insurance agent, okay, much like most of you guys here. And I work in Medicare and senior products, right? So I'm a retirement planner. I'm a holistic retirement planner. I cover health, life, long-term care, retirement income, securities, Series 65 securities registration, and that's what I do. So I help seniors from the beginning of their retirement, right around age 65, through literally to the rest of their end of their life. We even just started a home health care company to actually physically take care of them, in their retirement years when they need that help. So that's me, that's what I do. Now before that though, this is my second career. I've been a police officer for about 23 years. And I'm just finally completely retired from the reserves last December. So just a couple of months ago. But up until last December, really like COVID, last March, a year ago, I was an active peace officer here in Comal County. I'm from New Braunfels. And but the first 10 or 12 years of my career, I was a full-time police officer. I worked the streets, I did everything. Then I went to training. I went to the police academy, and I was a trainer there. And I taught all the fun stuff. So I taught shooting and fighting and driving, and I didn't teach any of the book stuff. There's some of the guys that like to do that, and they're real good at it. And the penal code book's that thick. So they get into learning all that stuff. I'm always like, if there's something I need to know, I got a book, I can look it up, right? So I don't memorize the penal code and the code of criminal procedure. The transportation code's another book like that in Texas. So I got to do all the fun stuff. And part of my job was teaching use of force. And part of that, we kind of integrated in a pretty good sized block, about 8 hours in the police academy, which is very valuable time, real estate on the calendar. Because we've got a whole lot of stuff to get done in about 1,000 hours, putting a cadet from start to finish in 1,000 hours. And so it was not easy to get that time from the people in charge. So we put a block of fear management in it, because fear is something that is very important to learn how it works on your body, how it works in your mind, and how to deal with it so that it doesn't get you hurt. And when we're talking about insurance, how does it hurt you? How does fear interfere with what you do as an insurance agent?
Don't take risks or make calls at times.
You hesitate, right? Just like we do in law enforcement. Fear causes us to hesitate or do the wrong thing, right? Well, in insurance, it's no different, right? So what do you do, like on a daily basis as a producer? What's something that you have to do that you don't like doing?
Making phone calls.
Picking up the phone and making a phone call. Why? Let me ask, before I ask you why, what's ultimately the end result of making those phone calls?
No.
No. I mean, at the end, the positive result. You make money, right? So why wouldn't you just pick up the phone and go make money? Nobody likes to pick up the phone, right? I mean, even agents that do that don't like it. So what prevents us from getting to that end goal of making money?
Fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection. Objection, right? You pick up the phone, no. Dial next number, I'm not interested.
Failure.
Quit calling me. How'd you get my number? F you. Your mama's up. Right? So that happens. And so it happens enough, and then all of a sudden you get to the next day and like, man, I don't want to pick up that phone. And why? That's fear. That's this cycle of behavior that I'm going to outline today, right? So what's something else? Anybody door knock? Okay. What, when you drive up to the house, if the house has a fence in the front with a gate, what's the first thing you do when you get to the gate?
Jump over it.
Jump over it, or if you've been to many of those houses, especially where I started out in the insurance business, you rattle that gate a little bit and make a little bit of noise. Why?
See if a dog's there.
To make sure the dog knows you're there before you go through the gate, right? Because how many of you have gotten all the way to the front porch before the dog heard you, right? If you're a Great Dane owner, or a Rottweiler owner, or a Pit Bull owner, right? You've seen these people running back out through the gate, right? So you get to the gate, you walk up and you get to the gate, and what are you thinking? I wonder if there's a dog in here. Better rattle that, right? So that's a good, healthy fear. But the way you deal with that fear is what makes the difference. All right? The only difference between a coward and a hero is how you handle your fear. Okay? So we're going to I'm going to walk you through how this happens. It happens very fast, in fractions of a second sometimes, most of the time, in the most primal portions of your brain, right? So our brains have different pieces, right? We've got the logical part, we've got the abstract part that can think about abstract ideas, and then we've got primal parts that you don't control. Okay, so some of this stuff happens in the all of this stuff happens in the primal parts of your brain, like the amygdala and the hippocampus, and those areas. It doesn't happen in the, cognitive parts of your brain. It's not a cognitive thing that you have to think about. It just happens, and then after the fact, you've got to deal with it, okay? So let's say that we've got a scenario, right? And before I get started, I'm going to tell you that everything that I'm giving you today, I learned from an old friend and mentor of mine named Tony Blauer. He's really the pioneer in this research and training, and he's a martial artist. He's been around since the 60s. And anybody into CrossFit? No? If you were, you would know who Tony Blauer is, because teaching this kind of stuff, he got real big in the CrossFit community. And I know you're not CrossFitters because you're not wearing a t-shirt that says CrossFit on it. I know there's no vegans in here because you haven't told me about it yet. So we've got this scenario, but look him up. He's got a course on this that is cheap, and he's got great training. It's all over. Look him up. Super guy. So you got this scenario. So what's our scenario here? In law enforcement, it would be some scary thing like going to a domestic violence call, where there's the dispatcher's telling you we got a domestic call, they're screaming in the background, fight noises, and the phone line went dead. I got to go to this thing because it's my job. It's what I get paid to do, right? So that's kind of my scenario. Now my scenario is I've got to sell insurance. Or let's break that down even further and make phone calls. Okay? And what's our motivation for doing that? Right, we got to make money. Because we have to eat. We have to feed our families. We have to pay our mortgages. Right? Pretty strong motivation, isn't it? So we know we've got this act that we have to commit. And we know what our motivation is. That's easy. But then we move a little bit further down the line. And we've got something here that starts to come into play, and it's called expectations. And a lot of times it's unsolicited. We don't really think, what am I going to expect when I pick up the phone here? It just happens. Okay, it's unsolicited. So what's your expectation? When you pick up the phone to call somebody, what do you expect? Like if you're a true cold caller, if you got a list, even if it's a list of leads, like somebody clicked on a Facebook ad or somebody sent in a business reply card, you pick up the phone to dial the number, what do you expect to happen when you do that?
No answer.
No answer, or?
7 out of 10 say no.
Somebody's going to say no. Somebody's going to cuss at me. Somebody's going to hang up on me. Right? This is the beginnings of this cycle. There's several acronyms that we can make out of the word fear. And the first one that we really talk about is failure, false expectations appearing real. So these expectations, a lot of time, they're just not true. Now, maybe in the sense of a phone call, yeah, 7 out of 10 people are going to hang up or say no, right? But are they going to call you names? Are they going to? Is it personal? Do they know you? No, right? So they're not really true. You walk up to the gate and you rattle the gate. How many times did the dog actually come out and tried to kill you? Probably none. You heard that from a manager who was training you in the field. It happened to a guy he knew 10 years ago, right? So it's not really a real thing. It just doesn't happen very often. Right? And these expectations a lot of times are based on our beliefs and you know, things that we've either heard or we've been taught or we've experienced in the past. But as in the moment, right here, right now, it's not true till it happens. Like Medicare for all, right? Congress is going to pass this thing. The Democrats are going to pass Medicare for all, going to put me and Tony out of business. Are you worried about it?
No.
I'm not worried about it, because you know what? It's not real. If they pass that tomorrow, it would take 10 years to be fully in effect. I don't know. But it's not real. That's the fact. So am I worrying about it, or I'm moving forward as usual, right? And you know what? Maybe that means Medicare supplements for all. Maybe it's a good thing. Okay, so we have expectations, and then what starts to happen? Visualizations. These things start to now run through our minds. What's going to happen? I pick up this phone. What's this lady going to say? How many of you, when you pick up a phone, actually say, oh yeah, I'm going to make a sale on this next phone call? If you're really kind of high performance and you have that, you know, you're posting inspirational quotes and pictures of lions on Facebook every day, right? Like Joe Campert, you probably have that thought. Hey, I'm going to make a sale on this next phone call. Nope, she said no. That's all right, next phone call. I'm going to make a sale. Nope, he called me a name. Nope, next phone call, I'm going to make a sale. How many people do that? Almost none. Because what do we as humans naturally focus on? The negative, right? It's just, I don't know why, it's just the way we are. If you want to be a positive person and focus on that, most of us have to work on it. It's something that you have to learn. That doesn't come naturally to the vast majority of people. So we start visualizing what's going to happen. I can see that dog coming out from under that porch of that single wide trailer and running at me. But is it real? No. No. I walk up to the house of this domestic call and I knock on the door, and who answers the door? Big, huge dude, scary looking, with a bloody bat in his hand. Did that happen yet? No. Is it likely to happen? Probably not. It's probably not going to. It's never happened to me. Right? But those are the kinds of things that run through our head. I mean, y'all are free to disagree with me. I don't see anybody saying I'm wrong. All right? Okay. So this is the next one. False evidence appearing real. Okay, we've got this evidence running through our heads. It hasn't happened yet. It's not a real thing. It's false. Right? Or let's say something actually does happen. You pick up the phone, you dial the number, the guy on the other end says, F you, your mama's a, right? Remember that movie Roadhouse? Right? Where Patrick Swayze's a bouncer. And as a side job, I bounced in bars a lot. And so, I don't want to get started telling stories, but remember what he says when he comes into the the bar, and the new bar is the new guy, and he sits everybody down, and he's having a talk with them, and he's telling them to be nice, right? And the guy goes, oh yeah, well what if he calls my mom so-and-so? What does he say? Is she? Well, if the answer is no, then move on, right? It's not real. If the answer is yes, then you need to go have a talk with your mom, and yeah, you got to take a different path. But my point is, it's not real. None of this stuff is real. Okay, but where does a lot of this come from? It comes from our beliefs. And our beliefs. Did I spell that right?
Yep.
No, I did.
I before E except after C, right?
Yeah.
I'm a college dropout. No one has I before E except after C.
Okay. I'm like Jordan Belfort. I can speak, I can't write. Where do we get our beliefs? We get our beliefs from the way we're raised and our experiences, what we're taught and what we experience. But our beliefs have nothing to do with what's going to happen in the next second, right? I believe that I'm going to have a crappy day and I'm not going to make any money. Well, something else I know about the mind is that the mind navigates the body, right? And your last dominant thought would probably take you there. So we've got to change this in order to change this. We don't have these limiting beliefs. Oh, I'm just a solo Medicare shop. I can't make 6 figures. We know that's not true, right? Oh, I've only got 8 hours in a day. I can't make 200 phone calls. Well, you can if you get an auto dialer that dials 4 lines at a time, right? Oh man, all these big guys like Cody Askins and Justin Brock and Joe Campert, their daddies handed them these practices. I can't do what they do. Bull crap. Those are beliefs that somebody else has given you that are negative, limiting beliefs. All right, so you've got to change those. You got to change them. Now, this is not my area of expertise, but there's people out there that can teach you how to change your beliefs, right? Okay. So the other thing is something called associations. So these are connections that we make in our brain to things that we do or see or hear, right? I'm out of shape because I don't like to work out because working out makes me sore, and I don't like that. Okay, working out makes me sore. I don't like it, so therefore I don't do it. Making cold calls makes me feel bad about myself and my mom, and so therefore I don't do it, right? Going to domestic violence calls is dangerous, and it makes me feel bad when I arrest the dude and the kids are crying and I've broken up the family. So guess what? Maybe I'll drive just a little bit slower and wait for my backup to get there first. Right? So these are neurosatiations. This is the way your brain is wired to interpret and think about these things. So what do we have to do? So let's take cold calls. All right, what do we know the end goal is to make money? What do you make when you sell a policy? Average. Just say, just don't overthink it, just give me an average. $300 on a Medicare supplement. Right? How many phone calls does it take you to make $300? No. How many phone calls does it take to make one sale? I don't know, let's say 100. 100. Tony, you think that's fair, 100?
Well, depends on your lead source, but it's pretty fair.
Right, okay. So every phone call therefore is worth what? Okay, so I'm a financial advisor, so I'll just go ahead and give you the math. It's $3, right? So every time you pick up that phone and somebody says no, cha-ching, $3. Quit calling me. Thank you, $3. Where'd you get my number? I'm not interested. Oh, Thank you, $3. F you, oh, thanks, $3. Your mama's, no, she's not, but thanks for the $3. Oh, hey, yeah, I was hoping you'd call. Right? So every one of those phone calls, no matter what happens on the other end, is worth what? It's $3. Is that a positive thing? You bet. So that's how we change our neuro associations and change our beliefs. Now, how many times can I dial 100 numbers in a day? A lot.
How much money do you want to make?
How much money do you want to make, right? So if you start calling the East Coast at 8 a.m., stop calling the West Coast at 8 p.m., their time, how many numbers can you dial?
A lot.
Lot. How much money can you make in a day? How many people you know working a regular job make $1,000 a day? Not many. This insurance industry is amazing. No other opportunity out there like this. I have limiting beliefs. Oh man, I can, the do not call list says I can only call certain people. There's not enough people in my area. Guess what? You've got Virginia to Los Angeles. And you've got from 8 a.m. out there to 8 p.m. out there. So that's 12, what was that, 16 hours. Anybody disagree with me?
Nope.
Okay. Starting to see where I'm going? You gotta change this. And if we start here and we've changed this, it backs up. Oh man, I gotta make phone calls today. Awesome. Yeah, it's Monday morning. Right? Oh man, Fridays suck. I don't want to go home. I want to keep working, making money. Right? Okay. So now we've got some fear management skills because we're kind of knowing about this thing. So when we get to the expectations, where do we go? That dude's not going to open the door. It's going to be the little girl. Everything's going to be fine. They're making up already when I get there. The lady's going to say yes when I answer the phone. She's going to say yes. And you know what? You got a cancer policy and a dental plan to go with that too? Oh, well, as a matter of fact, I do. Right? You guys in the PNC world, yeah, you can change my auto. And you know what? My husband's got a trucking company. Can you help him out too? That's what I'm expecting to happen.
Yes, please.
Right? Or you can closing a sale. There's how many ways are there to actually close? What do you think the best way is?
Ask for the business.
Yeah.
Ask for it, and then, or even be better than asking for is assume it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't ask for it, just assume it. Okay, we got this. Here's the price. Just need your driver's license to get started. Did I ask for it? No, I assumed it. Because if you ask for it, what did you give the opportunity to do?
Say no.
Give them an opportunity to say no. This is not a closing class, but I'm just making the connections here, right? So now we've got some fear management skills. So you get in this confrontation, you got to make these phone calls. This all is going on through your head, and then all of a sudden you're going to get to the moment of truth. The moment of truth when you've got to do something. And there's a door here. This is called the threatened or challenge door. At the moment of truth, you are either going to get threatened or you're going to get challenged. If you get threatened, guess what? You're going to get stuck in a fear loop. That's where hesitation comes in and you stop. You don't, oh man, I really need to do some laundry today, and the kids, I got to work on the kids project, and I got to take the car to the shop. And guess what? The whole day went by, you didn't make one phone call. See where, make sense? Right? That's why it's a good idea to get an office and not work from home. That's why I had to get an office. I can't work from home because if I have any distractions, I will do them first. Okay? Or if you get challenged, I got to make some money because I got a mortgage payment coming up. I'm going to do it. You can go through the door result. Goal, action, result. So what is our goal? Our goal is to make phone calls. No, that's not true. Our goal is to sell insurance, right? What's the action that I have to take? What's the result? Oh, and I know we want to help people and do the right thing by our clients.
That's a bonus.
Somebody will burn you on Facebook if you don't add that in there. Maybe PNC is not as bad, but where me and Tony live, holy cow. If you say one word about commissions, you go, brrr, we're not in it for the money. Yes, we are. Otherwise, go work at a charity. And guess what? You're not going to work at a charity for free. You expect them to pay you, right? Because you need to eat. The goal of us being in this business, no matter how much good you want to do, is to make money. Period. What you do with that money now defines your character, right? How you make the money and what you do with the money defines your character. But the goal of being in business is to make money. That's it. That's another talk. All right, so now we know what we got to do, why we're doing it. Now we have to have a plan. And we are going to select the optimum strategy. What's the optimum strategy? What's our plan for making phone calls? We're just going to sit down and pick up the phone and just think up numbers to dial? Or do we have to go, okay, let's say you're setting appointments to go meet people at their houses, right? So you want to kind of centralize those so you're not driving from here to there. And right, when I started out, I worked at a company called Bankers Life and Casualty on the north side of Houston. Okay, and I would start out making calls near my house, which was about an hour away from the office. And if I scheduled an appointment there, that's where I would concentrate all of the rest of my phone calls. But if I didn't schedule an appointment there, I scheduled an appointment maybe in Dayton, Texas, which was 2 hours away from my office. Well, guess what? I'm not going to go back over here to Conroe and make calls over here. I'm going to make calls around Dayton and Cleveland, right? Okay, so I'm getting a strategy. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to review that plan. Or actually, if we're putting it in the context of the cycle of behavior, is this a good thing for me to be walking into this gate of this single wide trailer and it's got chemical smells coming out of it? Okay. Or, hey, the last time I signed some lady up without actually getting her permission, I got in trouble. So is this a good idea? Right, because remember, this is happening. I'm spending an hour breaking this down, but this happens in less than a second. Got to review it, make sure. It sounds good, but let's just make sure. It's kind of like confirmation. The next thing you need to do is get into the present. The only thing that matters is right here, right now. Right? It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, and you ain't going to get to tomorrow until you get through today. Doesn't matter how many people hung up on you yesterday, you've got to make calls today. Right? So you've got to get into the present. Doesn't matter how bad my sergeant yelled at me and made me feel stupid the last time I went to a call by myself and I'd kicked in a door. What's got to happen now? Right? And then you got to decide. That's like saying, okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3, go. And then you take that action. Right? And then guess what? You take that action, now you got to pick up the phone and dial another number. right? This is a learned skill. Okay, I can't think of anybody that is naturally just fearless, right? You know, there's a lot of people that will say, I don't know, some of you might be old enough to remember, we all had stickers in the back window of our pickup, right? Or wore t-shirts that said no fear, right? But that's not what we really want. Because you can't not have fear, and it's not a good thing anyway. All right, you want to know fear and know how to deal with it, right? The only difference between a hero and a coward is what you do with your fear. Right? Now there's another way to get there. There's another way to get there from here. This is called the duress path. I don't know that happens to us so much in what we do. This is like fight or flight. Right? What am I going to do? Most of us, for what we do, have time to go through this. Now, what might happen here is you get an objection. You think everything's going good, and they go, you know what? That Liberty guy on TV kind of makes sense. What's that all about? Right? And you don't know what to do unless you've done what? You've learned and you've trained on it. So training will get you out of that fear loop as well. Because now you've got the tools, right? You've got the fear management tools, you've got the substantive tools of how to conduct the sales presentation, handle objections, make the close, right? I'm going to turn this around. Extra fancy.
Double-sided. He brought his own whiteboard. Let's go.
Warrior. Is that spelled right?
Oh. No, hey, it's not E.
Oh man, see? Alex, you got to edit that out.
That's what happens when you think yourself. It's a quick little just.
See what this gets us into? You can edit that out too so it just switches like a PowerPoint.
Make that messy.
We get up here, we're like, there's people that worry about things. They like get this anxiety and won't pull the trigger, figuratively, right? Literally. They're like right here. They're in the loop. They won't. You know, going to one of those Cody Askins retreats, that's really expensive, man. I don't know. I like the guy. It's a lot of money. What am I going to get out of it? I don't think I'm going to get anything out of it. So what do? You keep on coasting. I don't want to, you know, that kid from Redwood, he talks a big game, but you know, I'm comfortable here.
He wears jerseys all the time.
That's not professional.
Basketball.
You know, insurance people are supposed to wear ties. I'm comfortable here at, I don't know, whatever. I don't want to get you in trouble, but I'm comfortable where I'm at. Right? Comfortable is a bad thing too, because being comfortable leads to fear of doing something else. Right? Everybody know what the difference between a warrior and a warrior is? It's a letter. Warrior.
Yeah.
Warrior.
You got it. That's good.
How do you spell it?
We don't know.
Look it up. Somebody Google it. Right? Forget that. Forget that part. You get the point, right?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have wrote that on the board. I didn't practice that one. You just got to know it. You got to know what's going on and know how to deal with it. Training is a big first step. Practice. You got to pick up the phone. You got to take this first step. You got to jump off the cliff. Man, I used to do a lot of rappelling. We're working with SWAT teams and doing training with them. They got Austin Fire Department's got a 5 or 6 story tower that we used to train with the Austin SWAT and rappelling, new rappel master courses out there. Man, you get up. You want me to do what? And that first time, like over the edge, I don't know how people jump out of planes do it, because I couldn't do that. Because I rappel off a 5-story building, and that first step, that first time is brutal. But then, the next time it's like, then the next time, I got to walk up those stairs again. All right, come on. And it's easy, right? It's just that first step. It's that first. You scuba dive a lot too, and every time, I don't know why, but every time when I get in the water and start breathing on the scuba, you have to take a few seconds to calm yourself down. And I've done it a bunch of times. I know I'm gonna be all right, but it's just that, I don't know, it's something that when you do something different, or you do something that's dangerous, or you do something that's uncomfortable, it takes a little bit to go through this. Sometimes you got to do it real quick. Sometimes you got to do it gradually. Right? Any questions?
I would say, to speak on the environment is to truly to know the fears. A lot of it's understanding or listening to other people's experiences and what they've gone through as well.
Yeah.
I think that just is the power of collaboration, is that, it's not just about trying to maybe learn something new, or how is the best way to sell this or this. It's like, what is your testimony? What have you gone through? Because I think we always focus, again, we try to focus on the positive, I think, in meetings like this. And that's why I love this, is because there's a lot of limiting beliefs that we deal with personally that normally we don't feel comfortable enough to actually be able to share those, or we don't feel as though we're in a safe place, or like, hey, I do have this reputation of I don't want to tell people that I'm struggling with this or this, right? Yeah. So, I think it's so important that you're sharing this, because we've all had our failures. We've all had that moment where that burnout hits, or, we already are pre-assuming what's going to happen on the next call before we even actually touch the phone. So therefore we never touch the phone, and then what do you know? You go from cold calling 1,000 times to then it's 500, and then it's 100, and then next thing you know, you're not even touching the phone, right? And that can be applied to so many things. But no, I love that, because I think it's just so important, and people just need to be willing to share that, right? Because sometimes it just takes, to me, everything is perspective.
It can take one story that'll change it.
Yep. Dang, man, that's how you, okay. Because the way that Ron explains something is 1,000 times different than how I'm going to explain it, right?
Yep.
So if it just takes me being in the same room as Ron, to where now, man, I've eliminated, some of that fear, because I just have never heard anybody express it that way, whatever that might be.
Yep.
So it's good.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
like 8%. Going there and just seeing, you can do this and you can be successful, kind of thing. Because if you get stuck behind the phones or a desk, you can just, and kind of caught in yourself and not having other success stories. It's you're well, I'm never going to make it because I've never seen anybody make it. I guess it's kind of
the fear of expense, when really it's an investment to better your agency, is a huge one. I think that was a huge mind shift for us. It's man, we're spending thousands of dollars, and that's a lot of expense. And it's it wasn't really expense. We were trying to change and level up and get better.
Right.
But you got to spend money to make money, right?
That's right. Yeah. You've got to take risks in business, just like everything else.
Yep.
And the big risk is making money, spending money, right? Spending money or leaving money behind, because eventually you got to go full time, right? Because people ask me all the time. I hear it on some of the forums that we're in. Well, can an agent make it part time? Well, yeah, you can make money part time, but you're probably only going to make part time money. Yeah. Eventually, you're going to have to burn the ships, right? Okay. And go full time. Eventually. Now, I'm sure that there's some people that can make a full-time wage working part-time and working another job. But that doesn't sound like fun to me, right? If you imagine if you quit the regular job and did what you're doing part-time, full-time, you're making like double, right? Eventually you've got to leave that comfort zone.
Yeah.
But why don't they leave it?
That's good.
I don't want to quit the $50,000 a year job to go do something that I know I'm already good at, but why do I still stick over there?
Dealing with that with my niece right now. I'm trying to. I have all the social proof in the world. I have myself. I have what I've created for my wife, who's going to make $100,000 probably her first year in the business, which is phenomenal. My niece, who is phenomenal at sales, does inside sales already, makes about $50K a year. And I've got all the social proof in the world. She's like, commission only? I can't do that.
Yeah. I've talked to friends that ask me about what I do, and thinking about coming over. I'm like, what do you make now? Well, I make like 80 grand. Okay, well, it's going to take you a little while to get back to 80 grand, but you can do it in the first year. But for the first few months, you're going to be at what? Near zero.
Yeah.
And then it starts building, and then at the end of 12 months, well, you can be at 100 grand because you can do it.
Make it again every year.
And then make it, and then next year make 200, and then the next year make 400. Yeah, that's if you never improve. Right? Yeah, it's comfort. Comfort makes people hesitate because they think if I get out of this comfort zone, something bad could happen. I've got insurance over here. I've got a 401k over here. I've got a boss that I guess he likes me. I don't know. Likes me better than the other guy.
I'll
Right?
pick up the phone.
Yeah.
I like that learning part too, though. How it can break the fear loop, because it's like some of the fear can come from not knowing, obviously. Like, it's like when I relate it to college, when I would do like a presentation and I wouldn't study, or like I'd do the presentation last second, like I wouldn't know, so I'm fearful going up there because I don't know what to say. But like that education piece is like a big thing of like just, and keep on like sharpening your sword, or like whatever, defining your craft, or defining whatever that is.
Yeah.
Whatever the phrase is. Yeah. Something
He's not very good at
Something
he wasn't very good at college presentations, y'all.
That's all right. Hey man, I can't spell warrior or warrior, but you got to do it. I still don't know if I spelled beliefs right. Apparently none of you guys know either. Right?
The reason we sell insurance.
That's right.
I don't need to spell the words to the customers.
Right?
I just talk about it.
It's all digital now. Just sign it. Just say yes, I agree.
As long as I got that on record.
Yep. Always get the driver's license so you can spell their name correctly.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a big one. There's that.
So that's all I got, guys. Thank you. Thank you. That was fun. I haven't talked that in about 15 years, so that was nice.
I've never seen a diagram like that. Like I've been taught or seen the same concept, but I've never seen a diagram like that, which is awesome.
There's some cool movie clips that kind of illustrate this too. It's going to be old movies. Okay.
You reference Roadhouse. I love Roadhouse.
Yeah.
That's a
So-
solid flick.
There's one with Sylvester Stallone called Get Carter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you remember the elevator scene?
Yeah.
The fight in the elevator? Sylvester Stallone, I don't even know the story of the movie. Sylvester Stallone's like the bad guy that's a good guy that you like, right? And he's in an elevator, and these two guys get in the elevator. And one of them, the actor's name, he always plays a dude that you hate. He was like the doctor in Scrubs, and he was in Platoon. He was that guy you hated in Platoon. And anyway, he's the Irish guy. I can't remember his name. Yeah. And another guy, and they get in, and they're like there to kill him, right? So he's going through his mind, and they play out. Okay, he's punching them, and he's kicking their butts, and then it cuts back to him, and they're just standing there. And then they start talking to him, and he has another vision of, he reaches for him, and they pull out a gun and shoot him. So all the bad things that are going, and then finally, he has the fight. There's some more. But
You have something you want to?
Yeah, if you don't mind, it reminded me of a story, but a couple other things. And this is awesome.
You want a clean board?
No. I would leave this up there.
Okay.
This part right here, he had already mentioned how you can learn to reprogram your beliefs and your neuro associations through looking at your KPIs, right? So instead of just thinking, okay, I got to make 100 calls to make $300, you understand that each call is now worth $3, right? We started looking at our direct mail returns that way, because you spend $3,000 to get some leads out there, right? You're investing in it, and that's a fear, like, man, I'm gonna spend $3,000. Is this really gonna get me any money? But then I started looking at it, like each lead that came back, whether it was a sale or not, that was money. So I started looking at how many leads do I get, and each lead is actually worth a value. So whether it gets sold or not, I love seeing the leads come in, because each one is like worth $50 to me. I'm like, awesome, just keep them coming, period. So that's awesome. And I'm not gonna try to teach you guys this meditation stuff, but I would encourage you, a way that you can learn to reprogram your neuro associations and your beliefs is through meditation and self-reassurance and learning to give yourself words of affirmation. It takes practice, it's not gonna happen once, something you have to do and kind of reflect on all the time. But you can learn to say things to yourself every day to help work on these. This is killer. But really, when he started talking about these areas, it reminded me of something that happened to me when I was a kid. I was a pretty mischievous 15-year-old. Some of it was the pack of guys I ran around with, but I'm not going to blame it all on them. You are who you associate with. So I remember one night I was spending the night with a buddy of mine that lived down in Alvin, Texas, right? And this was this was probably around 1990, I guess, 91. So Alvin was still very underdeveloped, right? He's way out around Pearland off of Highway 35. It's a little 2-lane highway. There's nothing. His closest neighbor was about a half a mile away. So we snuck out of the house one night really late, had snagged a whole bunch of toilet paper, as much toilet paper as we could get from his mom's house. And we go running across the field with all this toilet paper. I didn't know what we were gonna do. And he's like, no, come on. He had a bunch of camo. He's like, here, put the camo on, let's go. And so we're all dressed up in fatigues, hiding in this bush, and it's night. It's probably midnight, maybe, it's plus or minus. We've got all this toilet paper, and we get to where we're going. Again, I had no clue what was happening. I was just following my friend's lead. And he's like, just do what I do. And then there's 2 posts on either side of this highway, and it's 55 mile an hour speed zone, right? And people, as you know, if it's 55, people usually do 65. Well, we start wrapping toilet paper across the highway around either post. And so we basically build a white wall. Now, if you're a truck in the middle of the night and it's a little foggy and you're doing 65 and you come over the crest of this hill, you could see the fear on that poor dude's face as we laid in the weeds and watched him. And he locks the truck up, it's sliding kind of sideways. It hits the toilet paper and breaks through, but he was sheer terror, because to him it just looked like all of a sudden there was a wall there. His lights hit it, they reflect back to him, he's freaking out, slides through it, and of course the toilet paper breaks. No big deal, no harm, nothing happened to him. And then you could also see an immediate sense of relief, but then you could see the anger, like, who were the sons of guns that did that? Is that just about crap? He probably did crap his pants.
And he didn't say something.
Right. Freaked me out as a kid to see that once I realized what we were up to and what happened. We, of course, lay in the weeds, and he gets out of his truck and he's looking for us, and we're laying down in the weeds, can't find us. But I bring that up because when we take the time to get out of our comfort zone, it's just like that story. A lot of times we build it up with our visualization that there's a wall there that we're going to slam into and it's going to break us. But the truth is, it's usually no more than just a wall of toilet paper. And once you actually take the step to break through it, then you realize when you look back, you're like, oh, that wasn't that big a deal at all, right? For the first time ever, I finally had the opportunity to MC a big conference. I've spoken in front of people, small groups like this, numerous times. I've actually had to give, the largest group I ever spoke to was about 1,500 people, but that was only about 5 minutes, just an acceptance speech for an award, no big deal. And I was shaking like crazy. But when I walked out in front of those people in Memphis, 175 people waiting for me to run the whole show for them, I was lights out nervous. Head to toe, tingling, vibrating, just surprised I could even stand up. And it was just like this, it was just like the toilet paper. All I had to do was get up there once and then come back up there the second time. And once I came back up there the second time, I realized this is not that big a deal. And you could ask Ron, I did all right.
Did a good job.
So remember that taking the time to get outside of your bubble and grow, it's just a little barrier that you have to break through. And once you break through it, you'll look back and go, man, that really, what was I so freaking out about? It's not that big a deal. It just takes a little moment to do it, a little courage. That's all you got. So I thought that was a cool story, but I thought that could add on to that for you guys. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yep.
Thank y'all for having me. I got a split. We're going to go drop down some video. I do highly recommend the Italian burger. I just woofed it down like it was nothing. It's absolutely delicious. So thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome, dude. I love seeing that. I want to get a picture of it too.
Thank you, Ron.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you. That's good.